you. Okay, we're good. My name is Carolyn Lamont, and I've met many of you. I've been with the Village of Lytton since March, and a lot of you I've been trying to reach out to just to understand your community. I originally come from Ontario, and about 35 years ago, I moved to Whistler. So Whistler 35 years ago wasn't much different than Lytton is today. I will, and they're on the traditional territory of the Squamish and the Wat Nation, so that's where I come from. Today's presentation, I'm just going to go through a really short introduction about what official community plans are. It's not the most stimulating, except for me, topic. And then Chris Field, and I'll introduce him shortly, is going to give you a more interesting presentation. So what is the official community plan? This is the token slide I have to give you. It's a vision, objective, and policies to guide decisions of planning and land use. And I will tell you that, in my opinion, it has to be actionable. So you have right now a fairly good descriptive official community plan, but it's not actionable, meaning how do you get to your vision? So the policies consider directions such as sustainability, hazard, environmental protection. So some of the maps up here, like debris hazards and obviously steep slopes, housing, transportation, parks, and servicing. Also for me, an OCP should be more of a really interesting document that all of you pick up and read, not that Carolyn, the planning geek, just spends her evenings reading. It's about your plan and it's your document. And as I mentioned, it's actionable. So why update the current OCP? And I will use that acronym a lot, Official Community Plan, OCP. It was adopted in 1998. There is actually nothing wrong with it. There's some really great ideas and great directions. But since that time, a lot of you probably know that there's been changes to the Local Government Act that legislates local communities. A lot of it based around housing, but there has been some significant changes. Okay, here I go. My first time consultation. It needs to be part of OCPs now. And also the impacts of the 2021 fire and atmospheric river, and changing village demographics. And also, there was provincial funding to do this. That's not the main reason why we're doing this, but that just does help, because a lot of communities don't have that. And this sort of looks at what you're looking at. It's on the website. You people have probably all seen this. It just shows all the inputs that go into an OCP. And again, how should Lytton develop and why? Even before the fire, declining population, older population, older than the provincial average. There's no main economic drivers since the mill left, other than tourism. Well, it really goes off. Oops, I'll go back one. And a limited land base. And so how will the OCP meet the community needs and expectations is really, really important. Yeah, I'm good at that. Okay, so these are my favorite socks, and I loved them when my sister gave them to me, but then when I started wearing them, I realized they weren't really that great. First, here, maybe the battery is low. But okay, so I do plan things, but I am a planner and I plan things, but that's not where I stop. I work with communities, so all of you are going to plan your community, to plan their special places. We develop an actionable plan. You provide me the inputs for what you want to achieve, and you continue to monitor and adjust. And Chris and I had a little conversation about that. No. Oh, is it? Yes, I have to hold it really close. Okay, so so when we talked about the OCP update, I think a couple years ago you did look at going external, and as much as I'm external, I am really trying to learn Lytton. I've tried to reach out to as many people as I can, but again, I'm not an economic development expert, and so doing a little search and learning from my colleagues, I realized that we needed to look at economic development before we did OCP. That one's not working. And that's when I found Chris. So a little intro. Chris is economic development. As a matter of fact, I found him because I started looking at small town community plans and what I liked and what I thought was appropriate. And Chris kept popping up. So here's the intro, and I'll read it. Take your thinking to new places, free yourself from the constraints of the average, imagine more ambitious future. Organizations often enter plan-making processes in a constrained mindset amongst a world of accelerating change. Staff, leaders, residents, and municipal council wants to reach highest aspirations, but sometimes the stones in the road can seem tough to tack around. So this is what Chris is going to talk to you about. I feel like I have too many things. And here's some of the projects. Further, it's too loud. Oh, sorry. That's nothing worse. So here's some of the projects that Chris has worked on. And impressive when he started telling me some of the communities like Gold River. You guys think you're isolated, but Gold River is really isolated. So that's where I thought Chris would be the right guy. So Chris, come on down. I've worked out all the kinks. And here you go. Here you go. Let me know if I can help you.
Thank you. Your community is in a tough spot. It's good to be honest with ourselves, right? Small population. I just have to look outside to see that there's a struggle. Good to acknowledge that. But I'm also here to say I've been doing this kind of work for 33 years, mostly in rural communities. I worked in 200 communities across Canada. Very few of those are big cities. That's too easy. And I'm here to tell you, having seen it with my own eyes, the power of people who agree to work together to change the trajectory of community in positive ways, to reach for a word called ambition, to leverage a word called connectivity in ways of humans working together in creative ways. To do that, though, the real bridge to cross is sometimes we've got to, oh boy, it's going to keep going, we've got to let go of where we've been to embrace new ideas in a world that we just can't predict. Tomorrow will be something that we simply can't predict. But I am here to tell you, Lytton, your future can rock. It's the people in the room here putting your ideas together. It is the people who are not here that you will have conversations with. Don't think of yourselves as a ball that is screaming down the hill in negative ways. Imagine a world where, and I've seen this, the highest population growth rate between 2016 to 2021 BC, Radium Hot Springs, 71%. Why? COVID happened, and all these people who had recreational property from Calgary decided that this Dilbert existence that they couldn't stand in Calgary was worth letting go. Why? Because small communities have something really powerful in this world of exponential change, where we can feel anonymous, where the algorithms have us fighting with each other. There is something to come back to smaller places that is deeply soulful to people. And you see it in things like vinyl record sales have shot through the roof. Why? It's tactical. It's tangible. Health and wellness, agricultural products where people can see that it's being produced in front of them. For all of the things that are happening in the world that feel cold and impersonal, there is a counter movement of people who crave the very things that you actually take for granted. You're actually looking me in the eyes. If you did this in Calgary, You're threatening people. It's like looking at the gorilla straight on. You don't do that. You kind of look out to the side. You take it for granted. So step into your power tonight. So I'm going to talk fairly quickly. Some of this is meant for takeaway, ruminate on it, deep reading. We're going to try and speak about planning in simpler terms, because at the end of the day, you know, it says official community plan, and I know maybe you aren't all going to read it at the end of the day. How many of you have read the 1998 version? Hands up. Keeners, that's pretty good. That's awesome. Usually we don't. Think of it in simple terms. It is the story you agree to tell about your future in whatever way you want to. Economy, your social and cultural fabric, your environment. Whatever your narrative is of your future, it is what you agree to do. And all planning does is translate that into a physical kind of space. So even words like connectivity can translate into geographic space, whatever you want. Okay, so plans are geographic at the end of the day. I am also a converger of economic development and planning. Planning is kind of stuck in itself these days. It's learned a lot of no's. We're going to talk about that. It needs to be more about yeses and hows in a Canada that's a little uncomfortable at the moment. Anybody? I was joking at a conference a week ago that there's going to be a new tariff on orange crayons. Like, that's how interesting life is getting, right? But we'll recover and we'll move on. So let's start here. So here's what we're going to do today. Basically, I'm going to yap at you for too long, and you're going to say, Field, stop talking. But the real important reason that you're here is we're going to ask you some questions. It's like a spark. I liked your word, Melissa, where why are we here? Because you're at the top of a funnel in reimagination. And you don't know where that's going to go. So tonight is about trying to put some stuff on a wall as your first thoughts. Then we'll arrive at something like, what are some key chapters in the story that we want to tell? We'll call them themes. And at the end of the night, you'll just get around your little tables and we'll give you a theme and you can explore some initial ideas about what does that mean. Then that gets taken away to the planner nerds of the world who start to try and translate that into real life for you, okay? It is okay to be okay and to not be okay. We're going to talk about that. Wow, there's a thing. What an OCP is, I'm going to blitz through that because you've done that fairly simply and fairly well. We're going to talk about how to achieve the exceptional because, again, I'm a firm believer that as our psychology and our attitude and our brains, it holds us back or it empowers us. It's free, and it's the biggest barrier I see between communities that are struggling or declining and those that are actually stepping into things where you think, wow, that community is doing cool stuff. The thing is, it's cheap, it's free, it's our attitude. So we're going to talk a little about that and some other key things. What is your story? It's a really ugly looking page of some facts about Lytton, just some where you currently are, and some polling and some discussion. 2021, that's a bad date. Okay. Hello? Yeah, it's hard. It's hard. And it's okay. This is okay. Because, and why do I know these things? Because I lived through this in High River in 2013. My parents lived there. I drove right into that with my parents' house looking like an aquarium and the house next door flooded out because something floated down and punctured a window, and we cleared all the basement. My dad had cancer at the time. We cleared out the basement. We held the aquarium back. And then I watched a community really suffer and struggle. And it's okay if it's 4 years on and you still feel that. You're probably going to feel it your whole life like I do. My dad died 10 days later. Like for me, I'm still in the stages of grief. That's okay. But at some point, and recognize that some of us are great. We're moving on. Some of us are not. But love everybody in your community for where you are. Meet them where they are, because that's the connectivity and the working together that will get you places, okay? Since then, some recovering and some rebuilding. So even on your website, These are things that are tangible and visible. I loved the former mayor of Canal Flats, where I did a lot of work for 6 years, who talked about the power of visibility and tangibility. We talk so much, we create these plans. And I remember a councillor in Stony Plain, Alberta, once said, we have so many damn plans, I don't know what the damn plan is. We're great at talking. But people at the end of the day, including all of you here, want to see things happen. And that's why I love when you use the word things that have to be actionable. That is so critical. Things that will get done. These are good things. These are things that are getting done. But imagine it's like building your foundation back, and an OCP is about imagining what goes back on top of that. Sure, there's 20 houses, but you were a complete community at one time. Can it look like that in some way in a future that, yes, you're not going to magically have a mill reappear. Canal Flats has a Bitcoin operation, a metal fabrication shop, and a mixed-use building, a school that's been converted to business and residences. It has housing policy that actually creates entrepreneurs out of housing. So it took something that was a real struggle. And I'm also here to say the communities that are struggling the most often are the most innovative, because crisis motivates people to do things that are uncomfortable and more magical. If you have it good, complacency is your killer. So an OCP is your story, and that word is so important, vision. Let the planners fight about all the weeds of the actionable stuff. You guys fight on the story part, the vision statement at the end of the day, the 100 words that says, this is who we are, this is why we're different and better than other places, these are the key pillars of what we're gonna do, and here's our emotional engagement hook that says we love Lytton, don't you dare not love it. OCPs in your context, where we have so many plans, big cities have so many plans, people actually don't know the story of their community, like Dragon's Den. Imagine I walk into the city of Maple Ridge. Hello, city of Maple Ridge resident, who are you and why do you matter? Well, I don't have a flipping clue who I am and why do I matter. The more of you that can socialize that and have that answer for yourselves, the more powerful that you can be. That's the us part of our storytelling working together. OCPs can be the one plan. They're usually pretty boring. I hate to tell you, they're usually pretty boring. I always argue about if they're a scratch and sniff and pop up, that'd be great, right? If they're interesting though, they are the communicator of the singularity of you that puts all the pieces together, and it feels like the pieces. You understand how the pieces are all working together. So the one plan. I'm going to flip through these only to say that for our council, an OCP is the primary legislative planning document, the primary document that guides everything else. Everything else falls from that. Don't get confused, or maybe get confused later. There's also zoning bylaws. Those are colors. There's colors on your map. Those two work together. They're like Abbott and Costello, Laurel and Hardy. Do we want to go anywhere else with seesaws? Anyway, they do work together, but often we end up talking more in zoning bylaw stuff because it's the world that we know with colors on maps and what you can do and you cannot do. Think of the OCP as the more general paintbrush of the vision part of that, but the two do work together. Transformative progress. So I encourage you at the end of the day, comfort zone, where magic happens. Comfort zone, where magic happens. If you rebuilt to purely a conception of 1950 in your mind, which was a heyday for you at 2,500 people, if I believe ChatGPT, when all of the wheels were on the bus and they were rolling pretty successfully, that can't happen. The economy has fundamentally shifted. The way that people think about things has fundamentally shifted. Forestry is not going to ever be the way that it was in BC. Those are facts of life. We have to let them go because we owe it to our children and our grandchildren to reinvent, to reimagine, to be adaptive, to embrace change for what it is. But we have to kind of move in the transformative direction. It will be uncomfortable because you've just eaten, and I don't want you to fall asleep. I just want you to, these things are fun. Just go with me on this. And it's really more fun if you've been beer drinking, trust me. Take your right foot and you put the bottom of your foot on the ground and start turning that around in a clockwise direction. And if you can't do that, you're screwed for the second part. But let's try this, okay? How are we doing with that, with the right foot? Rotating? Okay. If you're doing that, now take your left hand and draw the number 6 in the air repeatedly. Huh? Huh? Is anybody doing it? Okay. There you go. Fun party game for your next weekend or your next Lytton gathering. Why does that matter? At the end of the day, you can't do everything. You can't be all things for all people. I often see communities saying, discover us, where they will just drop that and everybody will love us. A Lytton of the world, or any community for that matter, matters to a portion of a pie chart, and it might only be the 3%. Discover us is trying to work on the 100. You're after the 1% of the pie chart who gets you, who sees your grass as greener, who is the independent entrepreneur who is struggling paying for a $1.4 million house in Vancouver, or owns it because of inflation, or they bought it 20 years ago and they can sell out of that and start the business that they always wanted to sell. That is a real thing. That's happening in Slocan, BC, where house prices went up 49% while we were doing an OCP, purely because people were leaving Vancouver and Kelowna, where house prices are also over $1 million, to do exactly that. Start the business that you wanted, retire early, get the ball and chain of the house off of my feet, empower myself. That is a movement that all rural communities can take advantage of. You just have to find the space for you to articulate that. And so focus is really important within these plans. You can't do everything. Be good at a few things. That's called value proposition. Not every tourism will be something that you will continue to grow into. You just drive down the canyon, it's spectacular, you know that. But you can't do all of it in tourism. You are not Las Vegas. You're something that is your own version of yourselves and telling your story using your assets that you have. That's really important, that's focus. Government struggles in this area. I want you to think of a community plan as a direction. So government only has 3 roles. Wow, government only has 3 roles. I'm not giving you a lecture on government. Ooh, God. 1, set a direction. 2, provide services. 3, provide those services at a price people are willing to pay. That's it. The services part we get, generally, unless it kills you, like Flint and Walkerton water, we just take all those things for granted. Roads, you're rebuilding all that, I get it. Roads, water, sewer, fire, emergency services, that's the 80% of what communities do. But the really awesome communities are working in the 20% that is surrounding that with amazing story, quality of place, quality of life, the way people connect with each other differently. That's called brand. And that is important to you because who is attracted to those kinds of things versus not? Investors, those who might relocate residentially, tourists. They want to see different, not same. And so 80% of what communities do, all that services part is same, not different. You have to dwell in the world of a bit of the 20%. What makes you compelling? What small things can you work on within a community plan that spin the ball, that turn the shreddy, my favorite marketing campaign of all time, just turn the shreddy a quarter turn and all of a sudden the world is different. What does that mean for Lytton? It's houses today, but what else is it in future? And who will help you get there? And it's not people that are, I know you've lost some population, they're not coming back, but I want you to think, the plans are 30 years, they're a generation in thinking about the future. It's who's not in this room today that your community plan should be having a conversation about. Who wants to come here in future? Pragmatically. It has to work. Can't be pie in the sky. But pragmatically, who wants to come here in future? What will our heartbeat and our soul be? And so this is a bit of the economic discussion. And why is it the economic discussion? Because Maslow's hierarchy of need, if you translate that to a community, unless you're retired, the first thing you need is a job, because you're moving for that. The next thing will be the roof over your head. But people are also moving for that because we have an existential crisis in Canada these days. And this is a preview of what's coming up. Housing is economic development. Housing can be a competitive advantage. Housing can actually attract people, not just the business. Because it's just the way the world has changed for us these days. Just talk to young people. I've got 2 of those. They don't know how they're going to afford to ever live in a house. Okay? So what is economy in future? You do have an old mill site. I mentioned that old mill site in Canal Flats as a Bitcoin operation, metal fab shop. What happened there? It was about, and who was I talking to? We started talking about reunion activities. It's a wealthy fellow, a business guy who's well known in the forest industry, but he's got a history in the Columbia Valley. And history means you drink that Kool-Aid. It sits in your soul. And so reunion activities are actually really good economic development tools, because it's not just people who live in Lytton now. It's who's lived in Lytton over the last 100 years. What families? What are they doing today? And would they think of a reinvestment back into Lytton in some form or fashion? I'm just here to say I've seen it happen in front of my own eyes. People do those kinds of things. And so what will our heartbeat be? It has to be pragmatic. It can't be pie in the sky. You've got a mill site. I'm going to give you an example of what's going on in the city of Merritt right now, where we're doing investment attraction marketing. Vancouver Metro will run out of industrial land within 2 years, period. So now they talk about vertical industrial, but the land just isn't magic. You don't snap your fingers and the land magically appears. So Merritt, which is 2 hours to Abbotsford, we're positioning now as the release valve, the pressure release valve for industrial development that's coming out of Vancouver Metro. Don't think today. Think a generation from now. And where does this stuff go unless Vancouver Metro is a plain failure economically, which it can't do? Where are we going as a Canada? We're about to invest hugely in ports. That stuff has to have ways to find itself within a Vancouver Metro that serves that. So large block, flat industrial lands, maybe they've sat for a generation doing nothing. They will not sit for a generation moving forward, because pragmatically there's just not land. So there's one example of seeing the world around you and what is going on and trying to adjust and respond and be proactive, but also pragmatic. And this trips us off a lot, and you know it online. I just went through a municipal election process in Alberta, and that should just wear us all out and make us want to have a 8-year holiday, because what happens in our world that we live in is we're so conflict-based now, and algorithms are feeding our conflict. And what I often find online is we resort to the negativity and the no's and the when pigs fly, and that's never been done before. But that's an attitudinal thing. So what happens these days, just recognize it for what it is in the world that is around us. We spend 80% of our time on the 20% of people who are not particularly constructive. Why don't we spend 80% of our time on the hopeful, the optimistic, the people who believe in the word legacy, who think about our children and grandchildren and say, we got to cut that crap out, because we're not being helpful to ourselves moving forward. But you see that dynamic all around you. That's politics these days as well. But us regular folks, squarely in the middle of the world these days, you know what constructive looks like, and what connected looks like, and not yelling at each other looks like, and being civil looks like. You know that. That is your superpower as smaller communities. I'm here to tell you, bigger communities, they fray themselves more readily. You do not. You rely on each other. There's a power in us. What if you could achieve exceptional? We're gonna crack a nut today, but we're not gonna solve your whole world for you, but have the word exceptional in your head. And once you start, use ChatGPT if you're scared of it. Just have a simple go at it. Type something. Give me 10 small communities under 500 people who have cool small initiatives. And you'll start to see the world open up. Or as soon as you start to think exceptional, honestly, you start filtering all the information around you for beautiful, good things. And they can inspire people to do things. Castlegar is the sculpture walk capital of Canada. Worked there for 10 years doing stuff for them because they saw a sculpture competition in the United States, but then they turned the shreddy. The shreddy was they wanted the community to vote on their favorites, but they pre-negotiated the price of these sculptures that were appearing. I dare say, like, whatever it is, 12 years or so later, there's almost too many. Like, it is Nelson to the north, not very happy with Castlegar, the more conservative commercial service center, who basically stole the artistic and creative and cultural thunder of Nelson by seeing something in the world and saying, how can we be different or better or dynamic in our community? Fun fact, the only one that has ever been damaged in all those 12 years, Humpty did get pushed off the wall. You can phone and ask. That is very true, okay? Our future, our choice. So these are like either ors. You do these things or you don't. And I'm going to come back to attitude. It's a light switch. You do these things or you don't. Put this sheet in front of you when you're brainstorming. You know, I might get hit by a bus or I'll push up a daisy. Part of this is capacity building for yourselves to brainstorm, to action plan, to do things ambitiously. Put these things in front of you to motivate you psychologically. I'm going to talk about two big things on the 5 ways to achieve the exceptional. This is just 33 years of doing stuff, working with a lot of places, and these are 5 truths that I just boil it down to, whether, you know, how quickly we can leverage exceptionalism or not. I'm going to talk about attitude. I'm going to talk about value proposition. Who is Lytton? Why does it matter? Those become really important in economic development. And a little about community matters. And so your attitude is a choice. On, off. It's a light switch. It's free. Okay? Anybody see my profile? My few extra pounds just make me harder to kidnap. See, that's positive, right? If at first you don't succeed, skydiving's not for you? No? Okay. Tough crowd, tough crowd. Everybody's like, let me go, I want to go see the Blue Jays game. Okay, I want you to keep this phrase in your head. I and we are a leader of everything and anything is possible. But let's be blunt in reverse too. We do live in a world where we are uncomfortable with change. It's not change, it's the pace of change. And that creates discomfort. And so planning has phrases that are coined. Not in my backyard, not on planet Earth, citizens against virtually everything. Some not founded, but some well founded because we're also not telling our stories very well either. Why are we doing the things we're doing? Why are we talking about density or housing choice and affordability that's uncomfortable? But what if we're doing it for our children and our grandchildren? We're not very good at putting the storytelling around these things together either, okay? How? No is not an option for you. Unless you've discovered this, the craziest idea ever, but run with it for a while. That's creativity, which leads to innovation, doing things different, and magic happening. How? Oh, I'm gonna go back here. So you have to imagine how entitled we are actually as a society. So this is 2 generations ago. This is my grandmother's house in Strasbourg, Saskatchewan. There were 8 kids raised in that house. 1 died of scarlet fever. They almost starved on that farm. In the 1930s, she had to go to Winnipeg. She met this beautiful fellow, Bill. They went to war together. They moved into a wartime house. There was no paved roads at the time. And so his V8 Chrysler was the designated vehicle to drive ladies to the hospital to give birth because it was the only the V8 would make it down the roads. That's only 2 generations ago. And we've lost so much touch with that, including our kids and our grandkids don't have this experience. And to me, entitlement's really dangerous. And I don't have all the answers, but we kind of got to back up and kind of come back to what connects us, what values are important to us, to tell your stories and your families, to remind people that we had it really tough and we have it pretty easy, all things considered, granted your challenge, which is unlike anywhere in Canada for the most part. Imagine change as, this is Kurt's while he worked for Google, imagine change as your 100 years doesn't feel like 100 years, it feels like 20,000 years. AI is scary. I was joking last week, Suzanne Summers, Her husband has now built an AI of Suzanne Summers, and so you can talk to this real-looking Suzanne Summers, who's been coached in all her books and all her Three's Company. Come on a rendezvous. No. You're singing it. And now it's like you're talking to Suzanne Summers. Could you even imagine that 5 years ago? So take everything you know. You won't know that tomorrow. And so the key is adaptivity. The key is not being afraid of it. Don't put the "where history lives" sign on the highway, because that's not going to serve you very well. You do have to live in the future, but you do get to choose how you live in the future and what pieces of it you take advantage of or not that align with your story that you want to tell yourselves. Planning has ended up doing this. And so all those colors on maps, that is actually called Euclidean zoning, and it's existed since World War II, and it creates colors. But Canada, we're not building things. Everybody's talking about we can't get big projects done, we can't get housing done, we can't get small projects done. Who are we as Canada? Let's get busy and do stuff. Because we've developed systems that are inherently no. And so all those colors on maps, if you're a builder, a developer, an investor, someone who wants to do a house, don't even think about doing it differently, because the colors are all like little sandboxes, and they have sharp edges to them, and they create conflict, and time is money, uncertainty is money. And so often our own planning knows mean that people don't even arrive at the door of communities because they've already seen it's too hard. People are lazy. They go where the money is easiest. And small rural communities need to work harder at that because we are smaller. Things just don't arrive. We've got to work harder at it. It doesn't mean just letting go and having a free-for-all. It's not that. But planning in general is now moving in a direction that I would call more permissive. It's requiring conversation and collaboration with those who are wanting to do things. That's a new kind of language. It's a new way of doing things. And we'll talk about what that looks like briefly. Home is super powerful in this kind of attitudinal space. If you ask brand-related questions around, give me one word that describes your community, it's home. And that's super powerful. We're going to talk about happiness in a second. You never thought you were going to hear about happiness research, but we're going to do a little of that. Just remember that word. But that also means that your conversations within a community plan are incredibly sticky because of the word home. Friends, family, work, hobbies, relationships, the meaning of life itself, it all sits at the community level. It's not at the federal government, the provincial government levels. It's at the community level. All of you walking down the street. I do want you to think about a plan as just a plan. Plans are paper. That's it. It takes people to actually do the things that are on the paper. And we often forget. Well, you'll go through this whole process. You'll birth an OCP, and you'll say, that's great. We've reached the end line. No, you just got to the start line is all you did. And often we think we've hit the end, but you haven't. Now the hard work starts. How do we make it happen? And you're not going to be able to rely on, the world around you just doing it for you. You have to do the work, put in the work, and it'll come back to you. So culture eats strategy for lunch. And so talent doesn't need to be worth $1 million. Talent doesn't have to have a computer science degree or a billionaire beside your finances. Talent is how creative your brain thinks, how it looks at the world and says, I love the possibilities that lie in that, and how many of you are doing that. That's what that's about. And so why do I use that outline? I used to work for the town of Okotoks, and we were doing interviewing for a town manager, and I was facetious, and I would ask every candidate, I said, you come into your office one day and there's a taped outline of a dead body on the floor, what do you do? The guy I wanted to hire, without even hesitating, said, I'd see if it fits. Now that's creative thinking. I'd see if it fits. He'd lie down, see if it fits. That's creative thinking. Talent, recognize it. You all have it. Just unlock it and unleash it. You all have it in your ways that are big or small. But just recognize where it fits and sews in all those threads, sews into a fabric that is the sum that is greater than your parts. How do I leverage all of you for, some of you may be flowers, some of you are great painters, some of you are business people. Some of you are home builders. How do you all fit together to make a sum greater than parts? And so connection is a superpower. You have it, but a community plan is describing that in spatial terms. So let me give you an example. Melissa and I were talking about that view right there is spectacular. Then you were talking about there's benches way down there, right? Over there. Are the two connected? If they're not, is it worth spatially connecting that for all of that view? What does that look like? Maybe it's not a park, but sometimes it's a wider sidewalk, or sometimes it's planter boxes, or sometimes it's a wayfinding sign, or sometimes it's a heritage sign. How do you connect those two? That's just one example of how you kind of view the world, as how do we connect ourselves spatially. We were talking about your community center and need for gathering space. Radium Hot Springs built a community center about 5-6 years ago, and it attracts weddings like crazy. It's on the edge of a park, it's beautiful, it's all windows, it's got a beautiful view, it's got a high ceiling. The community gathers there, but the bigger community gathers there, and what is that? That's economic development, right? That's connecting a bunch of dots together. That's when you get more powerful solutions. And so even in investment space, I've relearned this since COVID, specifically working in Canal Flats, where we would have meetings on tennis courts and you name all the weird places we would have meetings, but even the wealthiest money, it's all about relationships at the end of the day. It is. Money is small in its audience. They all know each other. It's a small group. Once you get the trust of one, they talk to each other. Trust me. Trust me. So connection is physical, economic, social, environment, and intergenerational. How would you define that within your community plan moving forward? Start thinking about ideas now. And more connects us than divides us at the end of the day. So build bridges, don't build walls, okay? Even the angriest amongst us and the most negative amongst us, maybe they just want to be heard in a different way, right? Little kids' toy rings, that little phone stupid thing that rolls and the clackers. You'll all pick it up and answer it. There's more connects us than divides us at the end of the day. And so I believe that even in municipal government, these words can exist if you will them to exist with the light switch. It's on or it's off, because that kiddo on there demands it. For sake of future generations. And so you see it all around you. So geese, 70% faster by unit of energy, flying information. Bees, ants, you see it all around you. Unfortunately, in North America, we're one of the most individualistic societies. Canadians and Americans, they measure it globally. We're extremely individualistic. But I just showed you my grandparents 2 generations ago. We were deeply us because you had to rely on each other, period, or you just wouldn't survive. I'm not saying that we just go back to flip a switch and go back to these romantic notions of history and Hallmark movies. I'm not saying that, but I am saying that we are hardwired to do those very things as human beings at the end of the day. For all the world of technology, people still love small communities in particular because you're human. You've got eyes, you've got a soul, it talks, you've got hands. There's a human experience in there. And so imagine your community plan, if your storytelling is a connector of dots. So often, if I see a pothole or I talk about that over there, that's okay. You get that. Mine rings like James Bond I was talking about earlier because it sounds like it's like something important. Yours, you can be. How is that? That's a good.
It's just my husband wondering.
You should answer. Let's all answer.
No, he's hung up.
Okay. Well, okay. We should have put him on. That would have been great. Imagine, though, that you've got all these chapters that you're trying to weave together, okay? You've got social, cultural, environment, you've got economy, whatever it is. The more that you can weave them together, connect the dots between the things, that's a powerful story that you tell yourselves in the Dragon's Den elevator pitch, which is your vision statement, which says, I am Lytton, hear me roar, okay? There sure is. Yeah, see the elephant in the room. There you go. Woo! See? Nice. Everybody sit at her table. Okay? Look at what attitudinally one word difference means. We hate taxes, but if I tell you you own everything, a piece of sidewalk, a piece of a road, the water pipe, the sewer pipe, the new community facility, you all own a piece of that. All of a sudden, you're hardwired to flip on a completely different switch. Well, if I own it, I'm responsible for it being healthy and vibrant and dynamic in future versus taxes. I hate taxes. I hate you. I'm just going to show up and pay these, but I'm going to drag myself kicking and screaming. One is ownership. That's just a word. See, it's simple. It's one word. And so also fear, remember that everything around you is it him again?
No.
Okay. Right. You are being manipulated by fear all the time. That is media. That is everything in your world around you. The only way to get into more positive space is to understand that you are being manipulated. Why? Because our brains have a primitive brain, hot, cold, fight, flight, and it is our decision maker for us. 95% of our decisions are emotional. That's what neuroscience says. 5% is our rational brain, just backing up our emotional brain. And so it reacts to the negativity of the world. So you see that looks terribly scary, right? Statistically, look it up on ChatGPT if you like. It's like I'm a salesperson for this thing all of a sudden. Vending machines kill more people than sharks. Cows 4 times more people than sharks. It's just we've been conditioned. So next time you see a cow, run. Just kidding. Okay. Do it afraid, because I guarantee, and I say this all the time, absolutely no one, no matter how much they dislike their lot in life or their community or whatever, life situations, no one goes to bed at night saying, I wish my community was crappy. Absolutely no one does. So it is about more connects us than divides us. It is about bridge making, and it is about embracing those whose voices sometimes are a little rougher edged, but sometimes there's really good ideas in there. Give them a little love, give them a hug. Never go into a hug off balance. That's very scary and dangerous, and it's awkward. But people want connection. They want deeper pursuit of happiness, and they want ambition. But government's afraid to do it because we beat the heck out of government every time they try and do anything different or better. We just do. We're conditioned to that. We're conditioned to not like government. But it's the very thing that enables us when I say home and you say, ooh, hit me in the gut. I love that place. You just need to recognize that we're doing that. We need to step out of that through things like community plans. Think of yourselves as a bell curve, and society is like this. We pay 80% of our attention to the 20% who are maybe not the most constructive. You know the same 10 people getting her done. They're doing everything. They're volunteering for everything. You know those people. But who is not speaking? It's the 60% in the middle. They're working hard. Their families. They don't have time. They're not going to just shove themselves in your face. They're coaching. They're doing whatever they are at 1 billion miles an hour, struggling to get by. But those people want your community to be better, to be hopeful, and to be optimistic, to do good things for our future generations. They do. The majority of us do. So even talks like this tonight, I know it's a lot of talking, but it's so important to have the preconditions so that when you get a plan, we do things like this, which is empower ourselves to move the whole bell curve to the right, where we are more exceptional in our own right, where we're star performers in our small communities doing whatever we can. And you can. And at the end of the day, trust is everything. And so trust is about basic services and having those, and it is about rebuilding where you are now, but it's also strong communications between all of you, all of your constituencies over time. It boils down to communications. If you don't have trust, you can't do the cool things. And the cool things are where the different or better is sowed, which helps you attract investment, resident relocation, and visitors. I know it's long. The ball is squarely rolling down the hill. Trust me. Why? Who is Lytton? Why does it matter? Think about that, because I need to read that in an official community plan, because I'm going to be your investor. I need to read that. It needs to sing somehow, and that's a hard discussion, because it's not 20 things. It won't be we're a small community, we have small town atmosphere. Everybody says that. That's just black dots on maps. What is it? Scratch all of that deep in its soul to find the 1, the 2, or the 3 nuggets. Ooh, did I use a word that's actually historically almost appropriate to this area? Wow, okay. Find that. And it's hard, and it causes you to question yourself or everywhere that we've been, but that is the way the world works in a world of competition with 8-second attention spans. By the way, goldfish is 9 apparently. That's what research says. Ours are 8. Our bulbs are dimmer than a goldfish. Wow. But that's how someone needs to pick up this plan and be convinced that Lytton's a cool place in 8 seconds. It's hard, but we can step in or lean into that light. Think of communities as there's an economic development piece. That's jobs, that's a mill site, it's what happens in downtown, it is what happens with tourism in future. But it's also these things over here, and they all work together or they don't. You can't have one at the expense of the other. That's just basic kind of sustainability. And then think of your world as an onion. So the story you tell, the vision statement that's going to be on page 1, your OCP, your community plan, is the one plan that everybody understands. And then it builds out from there. You have a council strategic plan whose mandate is pointed squarely at a community plan and executing against that. Any other plans, and then all the way out of that onion to marketing. That's how government works. Simple, huh? No. Here's a vision statement that is what I would consider motherhood and apple pie. And if I walked into a typical council chamber, they all kind of read like that. But question yourself, would an investor be intrigued by that? How about someone who's selling their house in Vancouver? Would they be intrigued by that? Tourist? No. So, and I'm not saying Canal Flats is a be-all end-all, but it is a comparable community, 615 people. By the way, it's grown by 150 people. It's almost 800 people, so small communities can do it. What makes you different or better on the top? What are you doing to do that in the middle? So affordability is super key. I'm going to show you what that means in a minute. It's actionable, and we actioned it. And then hit me in the feels at the end, because neuroscience says we love beginnings and ends. So think about stepping stones in relation to vision. That's what OCPs are. And all of this becomes important. Vision becomes important because 80% of investment is local by statistic. Research has said over and over and over again. Your savior is not a million miles away. They're already here for the most part. They already drink the Kool-Aid. They love it here, or they used to live here, or there's a family connection somewhere. Or you're going to create a new one somehow, but the 80 works. And so this is research, this is happiness. So the smiley part, the engagement part, work, friends, families, hobbies. That's also why communities are so important to people's sense of well-being and happiness. And then the piece over there, meaning. Who am I and why do I matter as a person? Who is my community and why does it matter by extension? And if the two can be connected, whoa, look at the fireworks. And I've seen people who do that. And the fireworks are awesome. You go to the ends of the earth to volunteer, to invest, to build, to do things because you believe it so deeply in your soul that it's not just about you. And when they research, what does meaning mean? It's about giving, actually, by research. It's not about it is about what I give back at the end of the day, okay? You see it. We're trained to see different, not better. It's not Lytton. Discover us. Can't be that. That's same. That's the apples. You need the red apple. 20% of us are footloose, and this is where opportunities lie for rural communities. This is why Slocan had its big housing bump. This is why Radium grew by 71%. It is the $1 million plus homeowners that are moving in places, or it is younger people who are simply relocating to communities where they have a future enabled by housing. But 20% of us are footloose and fancy-free, tech workers, creative industries, those with no fixed workplace address, like those in the transportation sector, hybrid workers, remote workers, I could go on. That's a good chunk of a workforce that all they need, and I'm glad to see you reinvesting basically in broadband, end of a fiber connection. You could have an internet business to the world. It can happen anywhere these days. 7% of Canadians live where they do based on a tourism visit. And the grass is greener is exactly, when you research it, that's what they do. They go through the grass is greener as a matter of process. What's the first thing they look at? Cleanliness. So anti-graffiti programs are actually really work. But there's a grass is greener in there. And so those people that are driving up and down your highway, there's a chunk of them that are like, it's cool here, maybe. But you gotta feed me with information and your value proposition and why we're so cool. Or maybe the house that I can build in Lytton is 1/6 of the price of some in Vancouver. Okay, wow. 10th? 3rd, I know, it's more expensive than you think. A little segue to community matters, and so you're rebuilding, but don't forget the details, because again, we pick up on things that are different, not same, and our reaction is exponential, okay? And you are manipulated in this space all the time, by the way. So like grocery stores have their vents, put the fresh bread smell right over your head when you walk indoors. Like the little things in these kind of community spaces and placemaking matters. And so I don't think you're gonna build the Eiffel Tower, but at the time, at the World Fair, it was a leading publication described it as an upside down, hole riddled suppository. That's not good, right? It's the most iconic. I know, that's strong, isn't it? But the most iconic thing there is in France. But again, our reaction is because we don't like change. Our knee-jerk reaction is to not like it. But placemaking is about standing out from the crowd and creating conversations. Art and creativity should create conversations that people don't like and like. That is the art of creativity. This fellow loses his wife in Ohio, old mining or mill town, Rust Belt, Ohio. He starts painting fire hydrants, then he moved to fences, and then he would knock on doors and start painting people's houses, and he started this whole movement I saw on CBS Sunday Morning where people would come from surrounding communities on weekends to therapy paint. Paint's cheap. All I'm saying is find these little nuggets of ideas that are out there. Be open to the world. There's a Ralph Waldo Emerson, the world laughs in flowers. Utility boxes. Remember I said graffiti? There's not a utility box where I live in Okotoks that isn't vinyl wrapped. They're not expensive, like $100 a box. And you can put whatever you want on them. $5, right? Imagine if I did that times 30. Would you being a full rest stop on the Trans-Canada Highway be something that people would actually say, I'm breathing deeper here? Yeah, they would, but they need to see it. Remember that the market is a catalyst, and so often we develop planning policy that totally ignores the market. And so people who want to build things, they need to 10 to 20%. If it's real estate, it's 20 to 30%. And so we'll fight over things like parking, believe it or not. You know, I see this time and time again, I must park my car. I know you're gonna rebuild downtown, I get all that. But on main streets, people say, I must park my car right in front of that business over there. I will not walk half a block. Parking standards break business models. And so it requires you to step out and be uncomfortable with the way you design policy, having conversations with people. How do we get it built? That's a different conversation than just saying, well, no, in all of our plans. And so in Canal Flats, remember I said affordable in their vision statement? We built out a business pro forma, and there is a minimum of 3, I know, you may not do it here, that's okay, context. They have a minimum of 3 units they can build on any residential property in Canal Flats. Why did we do that? Because Canal Flats, south of the valley, 600 people, mill closes, it's struggling with knowing whether it's even going to exist, maybe just dissolve into the rural municipality around it. And we did basics like this. How do we get people to actually move here where they would maybe go to Invermere or Radium or other places? Housing. And so the 3rd house unit, when we ran those numbers, paid you to live in Canal Flats. It made you an entrepreneurial business person. The 2nd one, a mortgage helper. The 3rd one was paying you every month. Is that an interesting value proposition in a tough place? Yes. So if you're going to say words like that, you must back it up with the hard choices you have to make to actually deliver that, to your point. Deliver it, to deliver it in real world. And so legacy, think legacy as bold and different. In Saskatchewan, where I was working with an economic development group, I've never seen this before, but it's legacy driven. In Moosomin, there's an economic development group who is business people, not a government, and they got together and they put money in the pot to say half of us is philanthropic. What do we need done? Do we need a health center? Do we need something like the school needs to be converted to something else? Do we need an airport runway strip? That's half of them. Money where their mouth is. Why are they doing that? Because they have wealth and means, and meaning to them is giving back, legacy, future generations. The other half of them is like Dragon's Den. They have a simple thing that says, you want to grow a business, you want a business succession thing that you need help with. What is it? Give us your information. We'll decide whether we work with you and how deeply we work with you. Is that not cool? You can do that even in small Lytton or amongst the canyon communities if you want. You can do it. It just requires a kind of creative way of thinking about things. Legacy is powerful, and it translates directly in words. Even survey responses will move from 3 to 10% solely based on a word. And so ask yourselves these questions as you go through, and you'll get this deck, so you can look at these things as a reference as you're working out the details down the funnel somewhere in future. But ask yourself these questions. Push yourself. There's a lot of words, right? This is for later, but all it's trying to say is by data, you have some challenges. And you do have some opportunity spaces. Rebuild is what it is. 2026 and 2027 are transformative in some ways. Some of the very core of you will be rebuilt. People will see that. The more that is visible and tangible, the more others look at you and kick that tire, so to speak. And there is some tourism master planning, economic development, recovery planning. Don't read all the details. It's all to say that I think you need a new framework moving forward that's a little more audacious, that's sharper elbows. I know it's cliche, but sharper elbows for you moving forward, that is more focused on little bits of pie charts, not trying to be everything to everybody. And so there's housing as economic development. We're only going to build half the housing in Canada over the next 10, 20 years. That's a huge opportunity for anybody who dares to want to do it differently. Read this later. But it's not the politics you hear of GST tax credits on things. It is doing all of those things. If you really want to step into it, it is into things that are more uncomfortable. Period. But you can. And think about who comes here. Younger people, families, entrepreneurs, those who have their own business. Maybe they're hybrid workers and they drive into Abbotsford 2 hours away. It's all possible. But you need to house them. When we don't know the future, we fight for what we know. Plain and simple. There's no way around it other than to see it and to recognize it and be uncomfortable and comfortable with that. Do the small things. Often when we get these plans, they seem huge and hard to break down. Think of small things that you can do as well. Don't let go of that within your plan. Small things build big things. And then think at the end of the day, a key challenge that you have. In our mind, we want to rebuild what we saw 5 years ago, 10 years ago, 50 years ago. And one of the real things that I find in communities, all communities that we struggle with, is are we a complete mirror of who we are today at our average age of, I don't know, 60 years old? On Gabriola, where I have a property, it's 68 years old, right? Are we a mirror of what we are today? Or are we a window into a future that we don't really know, but it's better to try and navigate that because we need younger people and families, and they need to be living in houses, they need to have gainful employment, creating more employment. But when you do this plan making, think about who is not in the room and represent them. There's no young people in here. Oh, younger. Thank you. Thank you for being younger. Thank you. Thank you. I am older. I'm just not getting uglier. I'm becoming a more beautiful monkey. I'm just getting older. I'm meaning younger people. And so here is when we step into fields, shut up, we're tired of you, but I hope you took a few things away, because people say you talk too long, but I just know that success or failure rests purely what is in here. You're going to have a plan, but how deeply do you feel empowered by what you created and bring to life over not 5 days, not a year, not 5 years. I live in a town of Okotoks where we were writing policy. I'll give you an example. One morning, a planner and I, we doodled. There was a little trail along the river, and we doodled on vellum paper, because I'm super old, and then we went to the outhouse and giggled because we had achieved success. We doodled out what integrated off-street pathway system would look like. 27 years later, there are 95 kilometers of integrated off-street pedestrian system, a generation in the making, okay? So, for those of you, and I hope you all have phones, and I hope this is fun because, first of all, you're going to see words in front of you, all of you speak. It's purely democratic. No one can dominate this conversation. But think of it as we're at the top, and we don't know what we don't know. We're just trying to crack a nut, and then you'll get more specific as you go. And so, does everybody have, did you lose your connect? If you see a blank screen, try pulling your screen down and see if it pops back up. If you have lost your screen totally, put your camera on that QR code and it will pop up for you.
Just in case anybody cares, score is 42 for Toronto right now.
Oh, we gotta go! No.
They're in the top of the fifth. Toronto's at the back. And where are they playing?
Oh, yeah, you're good. You're good. Yep. There's just a black screen with, I think most of you are on. Okay. This is a simple softball question. Okay, so here's how this kind of question works. This is important for when you are answering questions in future. This is a word cloud, meaning the more of you that answer with the same response, the bigger the word gets. That's important because it gets us to priorities, okay? So if you see Lytton, retype Lytton. If you're from Lytton, put Lytton in. I don't care if 10 of you put it in because the word gets bigger. And that's how there's a bunch of questions like this. Okay? Yep. It's showing up. No, okay. This is only question one. There's 12 more. It doesn't matter. There's 12 more. Okay? If you have, and this is important for future, if you live in a place with, I don't know, a lot of words, run the words together, put dashes between the words. Don't separate the words. This will become more important, okay? For other questions. What's my name again? I'm just Do you live in a is it one word? Oh, good. Okay. I'll explain when we get to the next question. Okay, how are we doing? Okay.
It's got Lytton down there on the bottom, but that's it, because I typed Lytton and submitted it.
Yep.
That's good?
Yeah.
Okay.
But it's hung up there.
I got the same.
It's not doing anything.
We have to wait till
No,
now.
you're there. Response saved. You put Lytton in.
So
Yeah.
now the next question's gonna come up, and then we answer that, and then the
Oh,
next.
so it just stalls now?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Okay. Pep talk. Pep talk. If you entered a word, it is there. So I'm seeing there's a word below. That means you entered it. It's recording everything. Okay. And so we're going to get deeper in some questions where maybe you don't see your word. Trust me, the word cloud sometimes will just force things out, but it's recording everything. Totally anonymous, except for, what's the name of your husband?
Porky.
Porky. Okay, let's go, okay? Question 2. Right now. No, I'll do it. There, see? Okay, now question 2 is on your phone. What makes Lytton different or better than other places? What makes it so special? So here, I like one word, if you can. If you need more than one word, just run the words together without a space or put dashes between the words, but don't break the words up, okay? Just pull your screen down. If you're stuck, if your screen is stuck, you just pull it down and it'll refresh onto your current question. What's yours doing? Oh, see the QR code? Here, give me. Do you mind if I borrow your phone? Oh, there. Put it on there. Oh, with your camera? Oh no, that's the wrong one. This one. There you go. Right there. Right there. Yep, just hit that. Yep. There you go. Ah, see? Okay. Okay. Pep talk. For those answering community, what helps us Canadians, we like to be generalists. Why do we like Lytton? Oh, the community, which tells me Lytton. So sharpen your elbows again. Scratch that. What about community? Friendly people? Porky? I don't care what it is. What is it? How do you define community? And you can answer as many words as you want. Just put more words in then if you've been typing community. What about community? Did you lose it? Yeah, you just pull your screen down and it'll refresh. That How are we doing? Some people still look like you're typing. So another, and again, you can use these kinds of tools if you want to brainstorm anything. What does flower planting look like in Lytton? Sometimes it's fun just to hear all the voices on a screen like that. Okay. Yeah. See? You are talking. Cool, huh? Okay, let's keep going. What are our strengths? So again, when I say strength, I want you to think about not just us as Lytton necessarily, compared to other places too. Yeah. Then go ahead. Do it. Yeah. Ooh, that's a good word. Fun fact, you can use emojis. Ooh. Yes.
I'm getting ideas off the screen.
Yeah, if you do, yes, if you see a word you like, retype it. That's prioritizing. It's helpful. How's your 2 sentences going? Well? Not doing it? Make sure. Okay. So, another little hint for questions that come up. Don't work too hard at it. You want your lizard brain to be telling you stuff. And if you're working at it, we're working too hard at it. And so, for our next few questions, kind of sing the Jeopardy song in your head. And if you don't have an answer, that's okay. That's okay. We don't need to solve the world tonight. So let's keep going. Perfect. She's creative. You're a singer. What do you do? Oh, okay. What do we most value in Lytton? What should never change? Do you have a phone? Do you have a phone on you? Oh, okay. Thank you. That'd be awesome. Thank you. Thank you. You should just tell her to put words in. Which? Mm-hmm. So, I love your word walkability, for example. So, when it has to be actionable, walkability is easily actionable, for example. Okay? You're getting this. Okay, we ready? Let's keep going. What are our economic opportunities? Be realistic and pragmatic. Yep. Who? Yeah, perfect. Someone. Thank you. If you've said tourism, scratch it. What about tourism? Rafting is a perfect example, but what else? Type that. Melissa, can you put that in? Thank you. Nature walks. Okay. I love the hemp farm rafting, hiking, and you do them all at the same time. That'd be super different. You all are good at this. But no one knows. If you've misspelled, no one knows. That's what's so awesome. Is there some online? There's some online.
Okay, because it seems like there's way more.
Yeah.
Than what's here.
So, museum. So again, think, if history is part of your conversation, think how people are doing it in current time. So I was in Niagara-on-the-Lake for a conference 2 weeks ago. Their #1 tourist attraction is ghost tours, which is history. It's actual people's stories, but told to a storyteller at night with a creaky lamp. Hey. Mm-hmm. This does it automatically, and so when we put the material together, you'll see all this. Yep. Okay, let's keep moving. Oh, you guys are so into this, we can't. Maybe 15 seconds more? Him-based businesses. Whoa. Okay, we'll do 15 seconds more. Twice.
Oh, music fishing.
Music fishing.
No, that's too different.
Okay, let's keep going. What are our community development opportunities? So housing, a village center, recreation, education, health, community appearance, and distinctiveness. Anything in there. No, it can be just, that is what community development is kind of all of that subject matter. So whatever your thoughts are in this space. Okay, scratch the itch of housing. What kind of housing? Type it in. Just do like affordable housing or 2 units or apartments or rentals. You know, how do you qualify what you want to say about housing? Single family. 15 years from now, what should Lytton uniquely be known for? Choose 3 of these. I know if you need to get up and go look, because I can't see anything, come on up. They should be on your phone though. You just kind of select 3 bars. Yes. Pick 3. Oh, Chris, remember the foot thing? You're going to have to do that again. Right now.
Never.
Focus.
Never.
I'm surprised you didn't put up anything.
Oh, I'll write that down. Oh, sorry. I'll write that down because I was going to ask other. Yeah. Which one? Active outdoor recreation hub. Okay, let's keep going. Imagine Lytton has achieved exceptional. What big ideas do we step into? This is where I want you to be a little bit nutty. Let yourselves go. Yep. Did you say?
We have sometimes 80, 90 kilometer gusts through here. Yeah, you can pick up a kite, a large size kite with a person in it, and actually get it on the ground.
The which one?
Unincorporated First Nations.
That's what's on there.
A Mars lander. Why not?
Why just Mars though? Haven't there been done that?
Oh, I'm gonna put down no bridge to the west side.
Somewhere, so.
Oh, I see.
Okay, we'll keep moving for sake of time. But big ideas it's okay to really do things that are unusual. I don't know how many of you watched the John Candy documentary, but there's a little piece where Conan O'Brien was working for his yearbook in his high school, and he just said, well, let's ask John Candy if he'd come see us at our school, and John Candy did. Like, you don't get what you don't ask for or dare for. So that's what big ideas are about. It's okay being a little unusual. Often there's a nugget of, in the zany, there's a nugget of something cool. So always challenge yourself in that space. What's one small thing that we could do? Visible, tangible, small. That's big. That's big. We all got to eat. Small thing. It's 4-4. All right, let's keep going, because I want to, even for a few minutes, get you around tables talking about something that you don't know yet. Is this air-conditioned outhouse, this thing? That is super cool, by the way. And you call it the super cool outhouse. People will come to that.
And never leave.
We just had an epiphany, the super cool outhouse. Huh? Okay. Yeah, the super cool outhouse. With a view. I've already got the marketing phrase. Shit happens. At the super cool outhouse. With air conditioning. Okay. That was good. That was fun. We have a good idea out of that one. Let's keep going. What are our key issues and challenges? Okay, let's keep going. We're almost done our first hour. We have 2 more hours. Just kidding. I'm just kidding. Just kidding. We're almost done. Okay, we're gonna keep moving. This is good though. That feels a little like therapy. By the way, strategy is often, it's simplest to think of as the opposite of a challenge. That's the easiest way I can describe it. So you can action a bunch of these things. If you don't have a grocery store, we'll get one. Gold River has not a good grocery store, and it's actually in their economic development strategy. We certainly talked about what are other creative models from co-op to whatever to come back to a community grocery store, right? So, oh, you guys are just all going at this. Okay, I'm going to keep moving. I think we have 2 questions in here. Oh, okay. I know you may need to get up and see these. Oh, right. God, I keep forgetting that. Yes. So there are 14 options. I know it seems like a lot, but imagine your community plan has rudders on the ship. These are the rudders, kind of what you want to talk about the most. Choose 3. Yeah, there's 14, so if you need to scroll to the bottom, scroll. Choose 3.
Right. Yes, you got it.
Here, I've got something in mind.
Oh, there's this one.
Okay. Oh, you still voting? Okay. Can you write? Just write economic development right there. Can you write? Oh my God, I can't spell. Okay. Gosh. What did you write on there? Okay. I can't even hear myself think because my ears are now blown out. What? I know. Don't answer that yet. For even 5 minutes. Each of you has a sheet of paper. See these? I assigned you the top 6. And I gave you a subject matter. So this table is economic development. This table is, my terrible spelling, climate resiliency, First Nations collaboration, and so on. Okay? In 5 minutes, and I know it's a challenge, I want you to answer A and B. What is the desired end state? What would successful economic development look like? What are 3 things that are priority for us to do? In 5 minutes, food security, and you are fully functioning village. It's just about brainstorming some early ideas. A and B. A and B only. What's your vision? What are some key things to do? Oh.
What is our vision or desired
No.
state for the identified initiative? Right?
So, the theme is what do you want to see out of economic development? That's where you start. Attraction of capital. You know what I'm getting at? What is it? And then what are 3 kind of key actions that we could take? Yeah, to get there. You know what I'm getting at? For those who are online, you can sign off. For those of you who are still stuck here, 2 more hours to go. No, I'm just kidding. Maybe if we could do 5 more minutes. Although I see they're deep in conversation over there. 5 more minutes. Okay, we're mostly done that. So that is a repeatable process. So no, we didn't get through Z because you're at the top end of exploring what a community plan looks like. I didn't expect you to go to Z. But when you talk about an actionable community plan, that's how you action things. I've used this template for 20 years. And it is how you get from up here down to the meat and potatoes of something. I've asked you to do A and B to help put not only the rudder on the ship, but what are some key action areas that you want to explore. Don't take the paper away. The planning team will collect the paper. And the next time you kind of interact with the community plan, you'll start to see some of those initial rudders that are on your ship. I need a different analogy for Lytton. I don't know what that is. A kite on the end of a string. I don't know. Close? Okay. Here's where we end. And first of all, thank you all for coming. Your time is super valuable. Hope you took something away, whatever it was. We all take different things away. What's the next step?
Next step is tomorrow's a walking tour.
Walking tour tomorrow.
Yeah, so what we're going to do is just walk around town. So if you have a special place, we want to hear about it. So I've done this in other communities, and it's really telling, and it's really because we don't see the town that you see or did see. So that's important. And then after that, I will then we will compile, get Chris's information, and we do a report back to council on what we heard, so just so you know. Then what we will probably, I believe what we're doing is we're then going to survey mode, so engaging the bigger community. Not that we didn't try, but it's again, go bigger and get some of the directions tested. So that's the next step. And then again, we would then report back. I do know that there was discussion about First Nations. We did do a very big email and reach out, and we'll continue to pursue that on the bigger question. On just input from as many people we can about the future of this place, because everyone, certainly in Lytton, the town, everyone sees it, and I think our intro really talked about the importance of rebuilding this place. And so every time we do a session, so this one we then report back to council, then we go back again, then we test things. So we're going to keep testing, and I think one of the things that I really believe in is accountability. So I want, when you said something, and Sheila comes to me and says, "Where is that?" I put that in there. And the accountability is, if it's not in there, we're going to tell you why. So you guys can all remember that, and you can call me on it later. So that's our intent, is really to pursue things. And I really appreciate Chris with the creativity. I was just saying that, not to dwell on Whistler, because certainly it didn't end up where I thought it would go, but very early on, we felt that we would go to the province for everything. That hotel tax, that came out of Whistler. So every time we ran into issues, we go running and change legislation. There's a Resort Municipality of Whistler Act. So I'm just saying that you guys do have a power in the province, and it's important to recognize that and to see if you can push for a bit more. Yeah. Yes?
I don't think that went far enough. I think what we really need is a regional plan.
Okay.
If we can come up with a good regional plan, the people will come.
Okay.
Put that on the phone.
Yes.
Throw it on there. Thanks.
I do know that you know who I am.
Mm-hmm.
You have not once reached out to me, and I'm the representative for the team I'm doing.
Yeah, and I would tell you that we do a governance model. So I reach out to your planning director, and I work almost daily with Tony. So that's how my go-to. So I did reach out to, not Tony, Tony Bolton's I reached out to Alex, and I've been in touch with him as recent as last week. So just so you know, that's from a governance model. I will look at the elected officials, because it goes elected official. Yeah, no, but I understand that's, yep. Yes.
Yeah, I'm not clear on how many times we do dialogue, but I've heard
So
coming back slowly, but it was vague to me.
okay.
Because your original presentation to council was that you were gonna write over Christmas.
Yep.
Yeah, so between now and Christmas, are we gonna be, like penciling in dates that we're gonna have these kind of sessions again?
It's a really good question. As you can appreciate, there is a lot going into this, into where we get. So the next step is to take this, report back to council, and then do the survey. And the survey would be before Christmas, for sure.
One-to-one dialogue, but are we gonna be talking about some of the core issues that the community wants the village council to make into policy?
Right. So policy starts in the new year. But if I need to test the visions. As much as I really appreciate everybody here, I can't just go off. We've got to test that back in the community. So the key vision objectives need to direct the policy.
So do we
Yeah.
get another session around the vision? That's what I just.
Oh, you.
Like what happens in the new year, I think.
New Year's is the policy, yes, and absolutely, and that will be more workshop-y.
Oh, okay.
But I will also tell all of you that I'm really willing to go, like if Tricia, you would like a session with some of your regional interests, we will go to a meeting and do something very similar to this. We probably request that you review the presentation, but if you want to do that within your group, we're very willing to do that. And that's exactly what we've done with First Nations and Indigenous people governance across to say that. And just so you know, my reach out is to staff. Council is council to council. So I've been enshrined in my 35 years that that's the governance model. So yes, the next step in the new year, get ready for policy. I love policy, so I would never miss that step. And then the next step is, after policy, is action items. So,
Yeah, just wanted to know.
yep.
When we're.
It's a year, so,
when
you know.
we feedback to you on certain sections, is that what we're going to do?
Yep.
Oh.
Yep. And but again, if there's like, I know I've reached out to Patsy, like if there's a group that's interested in agriculture, what I'm seeing here, like it would be great just to sit down with those people that are really passionate about it and talk about it. If somebody's really passionate about green energy, let's sit down. I don't need to have a meeting like this. I can go down and meet with 5 or 6 of you if that's what you want to do. Same with the chamber. We could do a session. The other one I would mention is arts is not really been represented, and we're going to pursue that as well. Yeah. Because arts is really important.
Thank you for your start.
I think we should be working towards a coalition.
You're all very nice people. Thank you.
It seems like a lot of these